The BLORD and VDM Saga, the internet war that shook Nigeria. Introduction: the digital battlefield. In the age of social media, wars are no longer fought only with weapons. They are fought with words, videos, screenshots, followers, and sometimes with reputations. A battlefield no longer needs soldiers. It needs smartphones, internet access, and an audience. In the digital age, attention is power. Whoever controls attention controls the narrative. This is the story of two powerful forces in Nigeria's online space. On one side stood a confident, wealthy, controversial businessman, a man who turned the internet into a marketplace. He built influence through business, branding, and bold displays of success. On the other side stood a loud, fearless, relentless activist, a man who used his voice as a weapon. He built influence by questioning power and confronting authority. One built an empire online. The other built a movement online. When their worlds collided, Nigeria watched. This is the story of Linus Williams and Martins Vincent Otse, better known as BLORD and Very Dark Man. This is not just a story about two men. It is a story about power, influence, money, truth, loyalty, and the dangerous power of the internet. Because in today's world, a single video can destroy a business. An accusation can spark outrage. A post can reshape public opinion overnight. And sometimes, facts move slowly, but controversy moves fast. Millions of people can watch a conflict unfold in real time. Comment sections become battlefields. Followers become soldiers. And opinions become weapons. In this new digital era, reputation is currency. Once damaged, it is never the same again. This is the story of a feud that captured attention across Nigeria. A saga blurring lines between truth and performance, activism and influence, business and controversy. And like many internet wars, it began with a few words, videos, and a spark that quickly turned into a digital wildfire.
Chapter 1: The Rise of BLORD before the controversy, before the accusations, before the online wars. There was BLORD. Before the name became a headline, it was a brand. Before the brand, it was a person. A young Nigerian entrepreneur named Linus Williams, who emerged during a time when the internet was creating a new kind of opportunity. Nigeria's economy was changing. Young people were searching for new ways to make money. Traditional jobs were scarce, but the digital world offered something different. Opportunity without borders, business without offices, money without distance, and BLORD positioned himself at the center of that opportunity. He entered the digital economy at a time when many young Nigerians were just discovering online business. Cryptocurrency was gaining popularity. Online trading was becoming mainstream. Digital marketing was expanding rapidly. To many observers, BLORD appeared to understand this new world. Crypto, gadgets, online trading, business promotions, luxury lifestyle. His platforms showcased success, or at least the image of it. Expensive cars, modern offices, business deals, travel, cash. These images told a story of success, a story of ambition, a story of achievement. And for many young Nigerians, that story was powerful because it represented something they wanted: freedom, wealth, status. BLORD didn't just sell products. He sold possibility. His content suggested that success was achievable, that wealth was within reach, that the digital economy had space for everyone willing to try. Millions began watching his content. Some came out of curiosity, some came out of admiration, some came out of skepticism, but they came, and attention is the first currency of influence. As his following grew, so did his visibility. His name began circulating in online business communities. His videos spread across social media platforms. His brand became recognizable. For supporters, BLORD represented success in a modern Nigerian economy. He was seen as proof that digital business could work, proof that young entrepreneurs could rise, proof that the internet could change lives. For critics, however, questions remained. Success on social media can be difficult to measure. Images can be curated, stories can be controlled, and influence often attracts scrutiny. Some people admired him, others doubted him, but both groups continued watching, because whether admired or questioned, BLORD had something powerful: visibility. And in the digital age, visibility is influence. His platforms grew into more than personal pages. They became business channels, marketing platforms, promotional tools. Products were advertised, services were promoted, deals were announced. The line between personality and business became blurred. BLORD was not just a person anymore. He was a brand, a symbol of digital entrepreneurship, a symbol of internet success, and symbols attract attention. As the brand grew, so did the audience. Followers multiplied, engagement increased, recognition spread. Young entrepreneurs mentioned his name. Online discussions referenced his business. His influence expanded beyond his immediate audience. But influence is never neutral. It creates supporters, and it creates critics. Some saw inspiration, others saw controversy. Some saw opportunity, others saw risk. But one thing was certain, BLORD had influence. And influence always brings attention. Sometimes positive, sometimes negative, sometimes curious, sometimes suspicious. Because in the digital world, the higher you rise, the more visible you become. And visibility comes with a price. Every post is watched, every statement is analyzed, every success is questioned. And sometimes, influence attracts something even more powerful than attention. It attracts opposition. At the time, however, the rise was still ongoing. The brand was growing. The audience was expanding. The image of success remained strong, and few people could predict that soon. That influence would be tested, that reputation would be challenged, and that the name BLORD would become part of one of Nigeria's most talked about online sagas, because every rise has a moment when the story changes, and for BLORD, that moment was approaching.
Chapter 2. The rise of Veridocman. But while BLORD was building business, another voice was rising online. A different kind of voice. Not one built on luxury, not on business, but one built on confrontation. A critic, an activist, a fearless speaker. His name was Martins Vincent Otse, but online, he was known by another name, Very Dark Man. Before the fame, before the controversy, he was just another voice on the internet. Another content creator, trying to be heard. But Very Dark Man was not trying to entertain. He was trying to expose. While others posted comedy, he posted criticism. While others chased trends, he chased controversy. He walked directly into trouble. And slowly, people began to notice. His videos were direct, unfiltered, sometimes uncomfortable. He spoke with intensity, with emotion, with urgency. Unlike many online personalities, he did not present himself as perfect. He presented himself as angry. Angry at scams, angry at corruption, angry at injustice, angry at exploitation. And that anger connected with people. Many Nigerians shared the same frustrations. They had seen scams. They had experienced hardship, lost money, lost opportunities. And here was someone speaking about it, loudly. Very Dark Man became known for calling people out. Celebrities, influencers, businesses, scammers. Sometimes he named names. Sometimes he showed screenshots. Sometimes he made direct accusations. And every time he spoke, people watched. At first, it was a small audience. But on the internet, growth can be sudden. One viral video can change everything. One trending topic can bring thousands of new viewers. And slowly, his following began to grow. More views, more shares, more comments. Some people admired his courage. Others criticized his methods. Some called him brave. Others called him reckless. But regardless of opinion, people listened. Because Very Dark Man represented something powerful. A voice that refused to stay silent. In a society where many felt powerless, he sounded powerful. In a system where many felt ignored, he sounded heard. And that gave him influence. But influence online is different from influence offline. Online influence depends on attention. And attention often comes from controversy. The more he spoke, the more attention he received. The more attention he received, the more his platform grew. And soon, his followers began to form an identity. They called themselves Rattles. Not just followers, not just viewers, but supporters. A loyal digital army. They defended him in comment sections. They shared his videos. They supported his arguments. They amplified his voice. And in the digital world, an audience can become a force that protects, a force that attacks, a force that influences public opinion. The Radals became known for their loyalty. If Very Dark Man spoke, they responded. If he accused, they reacted. If he confronted, they supported. Together, they formed something larger than an individual. A movement built on confrontation. A movement built on exposure. A movement built on the belief that powerful people should be questioned. And as that movement grew, so did its reach. More people heard his name. More people watched his content. More people debated his claims. Some supported him passionately. Others opposed him strongly. But either way, Very Dark Man was no longer just a content creator. He was becoming an online force. And forces eventually collide. Because the internet is a crowded space. Influencers share attention. Businesses compete for visibility. Voices overlap. And sometimes, two powerful forces move toward each other without realizing it. On one side, a businessman building influence through success. On the other, an activist building influence through confrontation. Two different paths, two different methods, two different visions of power. And eventually, those paths would cross. That influence would clash. And that clash would capture the attention of an entire nation. Because sometimes, the biggest conflicts don't start in boardrooms. They start online.
Chapter 3, The First Spark. Every war has a beginning. Sometimes small, sometimes accidental, sometimes barely noticeable. But once it begins, it rarely ends quietly. The saga between BLORD and Very Dark Man did not begin with courtrooms. It did not begin with lawyers. It did not begin with official statements. It started the way many modern conflicts begin online. At first, it was just another video, another opinion, another critique. Another post in the endless flow of social media content, but sometimes a single post is enough. Videos began circulating across social media platforms. Clips were shared in WhatsApp groups, posts appeared on TikTok timelines. Screenshots moved from phone to phone, and slowly, attention began to gather. Questions started being asked about the businesses connected to Linus Williams. Questions about pricing, questions about products, questions about how things worked. At first, the conversations were scattered, a comment here, a post there. A discussion in a small corner of the internet. But then the conversation reached someone known for amplifying issues, someone known for confrontation, someone known for speaking loudly when others stayed silent. Martins Vincent Hotz, Very Dark Man began speaking publicly. He raised concerns, he asked questions. He shared his opinions, his videos were direct. No filters, no hesitation, no quiet diplomacy. And as always, people listened. Because Very Dark Man did not speak quietly. He spoke with intensity, he spoke with certainty. He spoke in a way that demanded attention. Soon, more people began watching the videos, more people began commenting. More people began asking their own questions. And with every new post, the conversation grew louder. At first, BLORD remained focused on his business and content. But online criticism has a way of growing, especially when it reaches a large audience. Soon, the situation demanded a response. BLORD responded, statements were made. Explanations were given, defenses were offered. But on the internet, responses rarely end conversations. They extend them. Very Dark Man responded again. And then BLORD responded again. Back and forth, video after video, post after post. Response after response, and slowly. What started as criticism began to feel like conflict. Followers noticed, supporters reacted, comment sections filled with arguments. Some defended BLORD, some supported Very Dark Man. Some just watched silently, but almost everyone had an opinion. Because the internet turns observers into participants, every like becomes a statement. Every comment becomes a position, every share becomes support. And soon, the internet was watching. Not casually, not briefly, but intensely. People refreshed their feeds waiting for updates. They searched for new videos, they followed the story as it unfolded in real time. Speculation began spreading. Rumors began forming, assumptions began growing. And as attention increased, so did pressure. Because in the digital world, attention changes everything. A private disagreement becomes public. A small issue becomes a national conversation. A single spark becomes a wildfire, and this was only the beginning. Because once attention locks onto a story, it rarely lets go quickly. The first spark had been lit. The conversation had begun. The sides had started forming, and what started as simple online criticism was slowly turning into something much bigger, a digital confrontation. A battle of influence, a war of narratives. And from that moment forward, nothing would remain quiet again.
Chapter 4 The Internet Takesida Social Media Trivers and Conflict. Conflict creates attention. Attention creates engagement. And engagement spreads stories faster than truth can catch up. And Nigerians love online drama, not just watching it, participating in it, debating it, arguing about it. What began as a disagreement between Linus Williams and Martin Vincent also was no longer just between four individuals. It had become public, and on something becomes public on the internet, it belongs to everyone. Soon the comment sections began to change. At first, theory were questions. Then opinion na, then argumenta. And finally, sides. Tiang BLORD VDM. The words appeared everywhere. Under videos, inside comment section, across group chat, across the Melinesa, it didn't matter what platform you opened. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Eka, the conversation was everywhere. Short videos broke down the drama. Reaction videos appeared within hours. Some supported BLORD, some supported Very Dark Man, some claimed to know the truth. Others claimed everything was a lie, and the algorithm did what it was wished. It spread the conflict too, because controversy travels faster than education, faster than explanation, faster than resolution. The more popular good, the more the video spread, the more the video spread, the more people joined the argument. Memes began appearing. Screenshots circulated, all videos were surfaced, past statements were analyzed. Every word spoken the elder seed was examined. Nothing was too small, nothing was too old, nothing was forgotten. Supporters of BLRD defended him. They pointed to his success. They pointed to his business. They pointed to his achievement at him. He was proof that digital entrepreneurship worked. Proof that success was possible. Proof that the young Nigerians could blood out online. For them, the critics felt unfair. It felt like the gallery. Felt like an attack on success. And they stood ready to defend him. But on the other side, supporters of Very Dark Man stood just as still. They believed in confrontation. They believed in exposure. They believed powerful people should be questioned. They believed influence should be challenged. For them, Very Dark Man was doing what others were afraid to do. Stepping up, asking questions, demanding answers. And they supported him loudly. The comment sections became battlegrounds. Arguments stretched for hundreds of replies. Strangers insulted strangers. Friends debated friends. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone had a theory. Everyone had a say. Neutrality became rare. Because the internet encourages division. It turns complex stories into simple choices. Right or wrong. Truth or lie. Hero or villain. Good real stories are rarely that simple. Still, the internet prefers simplicity. And so the sides hardened. Tiang BLORD VDM. Videos went viral overnight. A single click could reach thousands within minutes. Hundreds of thousands within hours. Millions within days. And with every viral project, the conflict grew larger. Because attention first conflict, and conflict first attention, it became impossible to ignore. Even people who didn't follow Liderman began hearing their names. In conversations, in workplaces, in school, in market, online drama had become a national conversation. And what was once a disagreement was now something else entirely. Something bigger, something louder, something unstoppable. A digital war. Our forget with posters. Our forget with videos. Our forget with influencer. And also our begins online. It really stays contained. Because the internet never sleeps. And neither did the conflict. Every day broke new reactions. Every negative broke new argumental. Every post broke new tension. And the deeper the internet became involved, the harder Instagram Fortune baca, berkasino, to my people were watching, to my people were invested. To my people had for sensitive, and when the internet was sensitive, the story is only just beginning.
Chapter 5: The Escalation. Then things got worse. What began as criticism, what began as responses, what began as online disagreement. Slowly turned into confrontation, and confrontation turned into escalation. The exchanges between Linus Williams and Martin's Vincent Otts became more intense. Videos became longer, responses became sharper. The tone became more personal. The focus was no longer just about business, it was about reputation. Because in the digital world, reputation is everything. And once reputation is challenged, the stakes become higher. Accusations intensified. Each side defended their position. Each side challenged the other. Each side tried to control the narrative. Supporters watched closely. Critics watched even closer. Every new video was analyzed. Every statement was dissected. Every word mattered. Because the audience had grown, and the bigger the audience, the bigger the pressure. Soon, the tone of the exchanges began to change. What once sounded like criticism started sounding personal. Insults appeared, mockery followed, sarcasm replaced diplomacy, and the conflict became emotional, because online conflicts rarely stay logical for long. Emotion spreads faster than reason, and anger spreads faster than both. By amplifying everything, old posts resurfaced. Past statements were brought back, previous videos were replayed. Nothing remained buried, nothing remained private. And then, things escalated even further. Content began circulating online that intensified the conflict. Screenshots appeared, clips were shared, posts spread quickly across platforms. Some of this content was discussed widely online, adding fuel to an already growing fire. And once content begins spreading online, it cannot be easily contained. People shared it in group chats, they reposted it on timelines. They debated it in comment sections, and with every share. The situation became more intense. Because the internet does not slow down during conflict, it speeds up. Soon, the situation became so heated that even social media platforms became involved. BLORD's Instagram presence was disrupted, his account temporarily inaccessible. That moment added another layer to the drama. Because on social media, an account is more than just a profile. It is a business, it is a brand, it is a voice. And when that voice disappears, even temporarily, people notice. Speculation spread quickly. Some assumed it was intentional. Others assumed it was technical. Some believed it was connected to the conflict. Others believed it was coincidence. But on the internet, speculation often spreads faster than confirmation. And the disappearance only made people more curious. More videos appeared, more reactions followed. More discussions spread. And suddenly, the conflict was no longer just about the original issues. It had become a full-scale online saga. Content creators began discussing it. Blog pages began reporting it. Commentators began analyzing it. Everyone had a theory. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone had something to say because controversy feeds attention. And attention feeds influence. The more dramatic the story became, the more people watched. The more people watched, the more the story spread. And the more the story spread, the harder it became to stop. Because online conflicts develop their own momentum. Even if the original participants slow down, the audience continues. They speculate, they debate, they argue, they choose sides. And by this point, the BLORD and VDM saga had grown far beyond the two individuals involved. It had become a public spectacle. A national conversation, a digital storm. And like most storms, it showed no sign of ending soon. Because once escalation begins, it rarely stops on its own. It either burns out slowly
or explodes into something even bigger. And in this case, something even bigger was coming.
Then came the twist nobody expected, just when the public thought they had picked sides. Just when the outrage felt justified, just when the feud seemed real and personal. BLORD made a statement that flipped the entire narrative. He claimed the feud had been staged for publicity. If that claim was true, it meant something deeper than gossip. It meant strategy, it meant orchestration. It meant that what millions of people believed to be spontaneous conflict could have been carefully designed performance. And suddenly, everything changed. Think about it. For weeks, fans dissected every post, every insult, every reaction. Comment sections exploded, videos went viral. Debates filled timelines, supporters chose sides as if it were a political campaign. If it was staged, then all that emotional investment became part of a marketing machine. That's the real twist. Not just that the feud might have been fake, but that the audience might have unknowingly become actors in the script. In today's world, controversy sells. Outrage spreads faster than praise, conflict trends faster than harmony. Algorithms reward engagement, and nothing drives engagement like drama. If this feud was orchestrated, it would not be the first time public figures used conflict as fuel. Manufactured tension has become a promotional tool in entertainment, business, and influencer culture. The formula is simple: create tension. Spark division, let the public amplify it. Reveal a twist. By the time the truth surfaces, visibility has already multiplied. But here's the uncomfortable question: at what cost? This is where things get personal. If the feud was staged, then the anger many people felt wasn't rooted in reality. It was triggered by performance. Fans defended their favorite personality passionately. Some attacked the other side aggressively. Friendships may have been strained over debates. Reputations were questioned, and if it was all scripted. That means the emotional reactions were real. Even if the conflict wasn't, manipulation doesn't require false emotion. It only requires misdirection. The outrage may have been genuine. The war may have been theatrical. That combination is powerful. Why did so many people believe it? Because authenticity online feels immediate. When someone posts in real time, it appears raw and unfiltered. Screenshots feel like evidence. Live videos feel transparent. But social media is a stage. And some people understand performance better than the audience understands perception. When the twist emerged, it forced fans to question something deeper than the feud. Can we trust what we see online? That question lingers. Of course, another possibility exists. Was the staged claim itself strategic? Sometimes, when backlash grows too intense, calling something publicity can soften reputational damage. It reframes aggression as business. It converts chaos into cleverness. So which is it? A master plan from the beginning, or a narrative pivot when things escalated? That uncertainty is part of what keeps the story alive. Here's the bigger takeaway. Whether staged or spontaneous, the incident exposed something about modern influence. Attention is currency, conflict generates attention. And audiences often supply the energy that makes the machine run. If the feud was engineered, it reveals calculated understanding of digital psychology. If it wasn't, it shows how quickly real conflict can spiral into viral spectacle. Either way, the public played a role. Once doubt enters the story, it never fully leaves. Every future controversy becomes suspect. Every dramatic exchange feels potentially strategic. Every beef carries the question: is this real? And that skepticism changes how audiences engage. Trust, once shaken, doesn't easily return. That's the most powerful part of the twist. Not certainty, confusion. Some fans felt betrayed. Some admired the marketing brilliance. Some refused to believe it was staged at all. The lines between reality and performance blurred. And in that blur, one truth stood out. In the age of viral culture, perception can be shaped as easily as narrative. Was the war fake? Maybe. Was the outrage real? Absolutely. And that's what makes this twist so compelling. Because even if the script was written behind the scenes, the emotions it triggered were not. The real power wasn't just in the feud, it was in the reaction. And once you understand that, you start watching every online drama a little differently. This wasn't just gossip. This wasn't just drama, it was a case study. A live demonstration of how the modern world really works, because today, influence is currency. Attention is power, controversy is marketing. And the internet acts as judge, jury, and executioner. In the past, power was measured in land, factories, or political office. Now, it's measured in followers, engagement, visibility. The person who controls attention controls narrative. And the person who controls narrative controls perception. Perception shapes reputation. Reputation shapes opportunity. Opportunity shapes wealth. That's the chain. So when a feud trends online, it's not just entertainment. It's economics in motion. The internet runs on attention. Algorithms don't reward truth. They reward engagement. The more people comment, argue, share, and react, the more visibility something gets. And once something goes viral, it becomes bigger than the original issue. That's why controversy spreads faster than calm discussion. Conflict activates emotion. Emotion drives clicks. Clicks drive reach. If you understand this, you understand why drama keeps appearing online. It works. What this saga revealed is uncomfortable but clear. Sometimes conflict is not accidental. Sometimes it's strategic. A well-timed feud can revive relevance, increase followers, boost brand awareness, redirect public focus, drive traffic to businesses. Even negative publicity can become profitable if managed correctly. That's the twist of modern marketing. Outrage can be monetized. But here's the deeper layer. The public often doesn't realize they're participating in a campaign. In traditional systems, gatekeepers decided success, media houses, political institutions, corporate boards. Now, public opinion can elevate or destroy someone in days. A trending hashtag can build a brand. A viral accusation can end one. There is no waiting period, no long investigation cycle. The timeline moves at the speed of emotion. And once the internet forms an opinion, reversing it is difficult. That's real power, but it's unstable power. What makes this saga important is that it exposes something fragile. Many people believe they are simply observers online, but they are participants. Every share fuels the fire. Every comment increases reach. Every argument boosts visibility. You may think you're reacting, but in many cases, you're amplifying. The crowd decides who trends, the trend decides who profits, and the profit decides who wins. There's another layer people overlook. Online drama feeds on emotion, anger, loyalty, betrayal, excitement. These emotions feel personal, but to the system, they are metrics. Engagement rates, impressions, conversion funnels. When emotion becomes data, the line between authenticity and strategy gets blurred. That's why this saga matters. It forces people to ask, are we consuming content? Or are we being consumed by it? This chapter isn't about one feud. It's about digital literacy. In a world where controversy can be engineered, you must learn to pause before reacting. Ask, who benefits from this outrage? What is being promoted indirectly? Is this conflict organic or optimized? If you don't question it, you become predictable. And predictable audiences are easy to manipulate. We are living in an era where influence competes with authority. Viral moments compete with credentials, attention competes with integrity. And often, attention wins, but attention is temporary. Reputation built on substance lasts longer than fame built on spectacle. Even if you're not involved in public drama, this affects you. Because the same principles apply to politics, business, entertainment, social movements. The internet shapes narratives that shape real-world outcomes. If you understand how attention works, you protect yourself from being emotionally steered. If you don't, you risk being moved by forces you don't even see. This saga wasn't random noise, it was a mirror. A glimpse into a world where influence is traded like money. Controversy is packaged like a product, and public opinion is a weapon or a shield. The internet doesn't just reflect reality anymore. It manufactures it, and the ones who understand that are usually the ones who win.